Hello and welcome to the show, and welcome to a new series where we're starting this series back up where we try to recreate various stunts from film and TV series. We start today with a stunt from an unlikely place from one of my favourite TV series, which is Psych. A fairly recent episode, I'm not entirely sure quite which one. The main character of a drive a blue Toyota Yaris, I believe it is, and in one of the episodes there is a sort of a small car chase where they're chased by a big pickup truck, and basically it culminates in a crash in which the Yaris is basically cut in half. The pickup truck hits the side of the stationary Yaris, and the Yaris cuts in half. The passengers have jumped out by then, but the Yaris gets cut in half. And I'm going to see if I can recreate that. Of course, BeamNG is the best chance I have of recreating something similar, and the Covet is the closest car that we really have to a Yaris on this game. Now, the car is hit by a very big pickup truck. When I first saw it, the truck looks exactly like the Bobcat from GTA 5. I'm not sure quite what pickup truck that is. I don't really know pickup trucks. We don't really have them in England at all. So yeah, I'm not sure what it is. But this is the closest thing, of course, that we have in Beam. So I'm going to be using this one. It's the fastest version. It's got the V8 engine in this one. So it's a fairly substantial pickup truck, and we're going to give it a try. Now, in the TV series, the pickup truck doesn't have a very big run-up. So I start with a similar sort of length of run-up, and while yes, it's a pretty nasty crash, bumping into the side. I say bumping. Yeah, it's a fairly substantial crash. Still, not with a fairly short run-up. You wouldn't really want to be in the passenger seat of the Covet. The door is pretty much in the passenger seat area. It hasn't sort of torn the car in half, which is okay. It's not particularly surprising. In the TV series, of course, I think they weakened, or in fact you could see it, they weakened the car, and probably small explosive are used to pull it apart. However, yeah, we haven't got anywhere near. The pickup truck though is working in the TV series. The pickup truck is still working, so I'm going to try and keep the actual pickup drivable. So there wasn't really enough speed. You can keep doing it over and over again. You're just never going to have enough speed with that sort of run-up. So I moved the car and got myself a much bigger run-up for the pickup truck, and sure enough, when we go into the side of the car, again, it's another very nasty accident. We don't quite have the car sort of splitting in two. Now, we're never going to be able to do that. As far as I'm aware, BeamNG doesn't allow the cars to actually cut in half. However, we can get it to the point where sort of like the left and right sides of the chassis are touching, in which case that's close enough for me. Again, the truck is still drivable, despite a fairly hefty impact on the Covet. The car is a lot more squished. Again, you really would not want to be in you wouldn't want to be in any position in the Covet in that particular crash. And there is a pickup-sized hole in the side of the car. It's not got to the stage where it would be sort of cut in half. It's not really been compacted that much. The solution is, of course, more speed, as is always the solution to all known problems. You can, if you were watching this in high definition, you may, or on a big enough screen. If you're watching this on a phone, you're not going to see it. In the distance, there is a tiny little speck. That's the Covet. That's what we're aiming for. Now, this pickup truck is not the fastest vehicle in the game, so there comes a point in which a bigger run-up is not going to make any difference because the car's already hit its top speed. This hits its top speed about the sort of, quick enough to be going flat out by the time it hits the side of the car. Again, very, very nasty impact. It's a worse impact than the previous attempts. Again, the passenger seat is pretty much gone. Is the car cut in half? Not really. Not really. From that side, it looks relatively okay. The pickup truck is still working at this point. At no point has the pickup truck sort of been totaled yet. Yes, the car has been sort of compacted a lot on this side, and it's done an awful lot of damage. Again, just showing the pickup-sized dent in the side of the car. It's not really got to the stage of which I would say that it's kind of cut in half, or as best as we could do. I left the car unrepaired for the next crash, so I hit the damaged car to see what would happen. That had sort of more of the desired effect. As you can see, it's now really quite twisted. The pickup truck didn't fare so well on this attempt. I managed to destroy the steering. The chassis of the Covet, though, is pretty damn damaged. It's not in a good way. The steering is still functioning. It's just all at a wonky angle in the truck. The truck is still drivable though, so it's still meeting that criteria. The Covert is almost at the stage that I'm trying to get it to, but that is from 2 hits. That was with a very damaged car to start with. So it was off to experiment with some more ways. Hitting the car on its own is not going to do enough damage. It's not going to do enough damage and not do enough damage in the right way. So I came up with the solution. Why not park the car in front of something? Why not have the car in front of an immovable object? Of course, when I hit the Covert with the truck, the Covert moves down the road quite a lot. So a lot of energy is still being used as the car's moving down the road, if that makes sense. And not all of the energy is going into crashing into the car. However, by putting the vehicle in front of something, it can't move. Also, I found out you can roll you can roll the pickup by handbraking. Not the most successful of handbrake turns I've ever done, if I'm honest. However, we're going for a fairly big run-up on this one. The idea being, when I hit it from this side, it's going to push the car against the box, whatever you want to call it, and that should compact it. Pretty nasty accident again. Little bit of physics glitchy. When you have these really big crashes, occasionally Bean gets a little bit confused. Still, the pickup is working though. The pickup is still moving despite that massive crash and the very sudden stop. The Covert it has not come off particularly well in this, and that is sort of getting towards, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. That's as close to doing this as I can do in any game, pretty much. If you have a look at the chassis in that when I go round, a little bit fiddly trying to show it off, but that is pretty damn squashed, if I'm honest. That is, yeah, that's pretty much the 2 sides of the chassis are touching. It really is rather bent in there. The front of the car is looking, is got away with most of the damage. Now the big problem with doing this on that box is the box is actually quite wide. I know the front of the pickup truck is very wide. However, well, one, we ought to try and use a pickup truck. I don't want to be really changing that aspect of it. So there's very little I can do about it. However, I could change the object that's on the other side of the car. So for this one, I'm going to try and use a tree. Much smaller. I don't quite know what you would call it on the tree. It's not as wide as the box. So when I hit the car into the tree, it should create more of a point. That's really not well explained, but I'm hoping you guys know what I mean, because I can't think of a better way of explaining it. So it's back to reversing the pickup truck before setting off. Now, I did explore this area for a while. I was trying to find the best place to put the car next to a tree. I could explore all of the areas and spend forever trying to find somewhere that I can get a big enough run-up and there's the right tree in the right place. This was sort of the best place that I could find for it. Problem is, it is a little bit bumpy. And sure enough, on my first attempt, my truck starts jumping. Can't do anything about it. I can't really control the vehicle. I end up hitting the front of the Covert and have completely wedged my truck. Is not getting out of there at all. However, the good news, the promising news, is if you look at the car and you look at the way that the tree has kind of damaged the car, the way the car's impacted, that's the sort of the thing that we want. We want it to have we want to be hitting a very, very sort of narrow object. So I lined up again, had another go. I had a few attempts trying to hit this car. The problem is this area doesn't work. It is just too bouncy. I get a bit better angle, but I can't keep enough speed going because it's too bouncy. My truck keeps ending up in the air and I lose control of it, or I can't carry enough speed because it gets thrown off by the bumps. Again, I didn't hit the car very well on there. As you can see, I kind of pinged off and spun around. The car pinged off the tree as well. Damage-wise, it is doing the right thing. It's sort of crashing the car, damaging the car in the right way. If I changed position of the car somewhere else, possibly on this level, or found a tree in a different level that was better off, I think it probably would work using a tree, but in the interest of time, I decided to give up with the trees. I had a better idea, something that was much easier to move to place, and that is one of these little ramps I found around the area. I grabbed this ramp, moved it somewhere there's nothing around, so I could get plenty of run-up, and then I put the car in front of it. Again, the same sort of width as the tree, so when I crash into the side of the car, it should do a similar thing. The only downside to this ramp is the ramp is quite low. It's lower than the roof line of the car, so when I hit it, the roof is going to go slightly above the ramp. So yeah, ignore the roof. The roof's not particularly important in this test, because yeah, I can't really do much about that. So we get a big run up. We go flying towards the car and wait for the impact. There we go. everything stops very suddenly. My truck, I think, is still drivable. I think it would still work. The problem is the physics have got a little bit when you have huge shunts like this, it sometimes gets a bit confused and gets the car stuck, and I cannot move my truck off it. I think it would still be working though. Could I actually remove the pickup from the covert? Now comes the more delicate task of moving the covert off the ramp. The ramp has pretty much impaled the covert, so it's going to take a few bumps to get this car off here. If you could already see that this is the sort of it's got an awful lot closer. Using this very narrow ramp does the sort of the desired damage, does the damage in the right way. And with another bump off the ramp, there we go. You can see it's pretty damn close to be like, there is a limit to what I can do on beam, and that is pretty close. You have a look how compact that is at the point where it was against the ramp. On this side, it's never going to be. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to quite get it to squash in the right way, but that is pretty damn close to having the left and the right sides of the cars touching. That's pretty damn squashed doing that. So I set off. I tried a few attempts with this, and this attempt here was the best. This is the closest I can get with the pickup truck to squashing the car entirely. This time I didn't get my vehicle stuck on the covert. Still, the pickup truck stayed working. Through all of the experimentation I did, I never killed the truck. It remained working the entire time. So that part of the I guess sort of challenge recreation holds true for beam. The covert yet again is impaled. This time it's really impaled. You have a look, the ramp was actually coming out the driver's side of the car. That's how squashed it got. The steering wheel is hanging out of the vehicle as well, and that is about as close as I can get it really to being torn in half. If you look at the chassis when it pans around, it's a little bit fiddly trying to show you this, but yeah, it is. That's as close as I can get it. The steering wheel is, and I'm not even sure where, it's being held on by magical physics. The covert is utterly destroyed, and yeah, there we go. That's as close as I can get it to being torn in half. Yes, as I said, in the TV series, of course, it's not done like this. The car would have already been weakened and everything like that. However, I'd say that's pretty damn close. Admittedly, it has taken a lot more damage than the TV car did. It's rather twisted. It's not. The back of the car is, yeah, kind of twisted. The front of the car is sort of all pointing in the right way. But yeah, there we go. It has been done as best as I can. However, I couldn't just leave it there. While I had all this set up, I had to give it a go with the lorry for much more weight and an awful lot more speed, because this is the 3,500 horsepower drag lorry. It does wheelies. It's very fast, much faster than the pickup truck. So yeah, the crashes are huge. They are so huge the frame rate likes to die on them. As far as tearing the covert in half goes, I'm not sure quite how well that doesn't. It's destroyed the covert. It's just completely destroyed the covert and the lorry. The truck is completely dead. I'm not even sure what it's caught on, or whether it just destroyed all the driveline and everything. The lorry is never going to get out of there. So reset the thing and going to survey the damage of the covert. I've got to try and get it off the ramp. It's the little car is literally wrapped around the entire ramp here, and it's pretty much dead. In doing so, I had to get myself stuck on the ramp with the lorry. It wasn't the cleverest thing that I've ever done, and I wouldn't really call that a car anymore. It's just a tangled ball of metal. Not so much sort of broken in half, and not really as close as I can on here. It's just a wreck. It's a lot of damage done to the covert. You don't want to get hit by a drag lorry. It's a really bad idea. These things are too fast. So I had to play with this a few times just for fun, really, because it's ridiculous. And on this next attempt, I'm still not entirely sure quite how this works. So we get a huge crash, a very similar thing. This is what happened most times where I tried this. The lorry would be going so fast, it would kind of flip over the car and wrap the car around the ramp. The interesting thing about this time is the truck is still alive. The lorry engine and driveline is still working. I don't quite know how, but it is still working. It manages to pull the covert free. Amazingly, the back of the covert actually still resembles the car. In a way, this is sort of cut in half better than the ones with the pickup truck, because like the back of the car is still intact. You can almost see the line where it's cut, which would be right, is pretty much the right place for the TV series to be cut in that place. The front of the car is just a mangled mess, but the back of the car kind of looks about right. The two vehicles are pretty much welded together now, and the lorry is still working and can sort of push the covert around, and eventually falls over. And it's a little bit weird physics with it being attached to the covert. The covert like drags it back over. I'm not sure that should work physics-wise, but never mind. So there we go. As far as cutting a car in half, it kind of worked. I kind of got close with the pickup truck. It got pretty good. I think it got about as close as I can really get on this game. Crashing the lorry into it is always good fun, just to see what happened. But yeah, I would say it's fairly close. I mean, we did a lot of damage, a lot more damage to the covert, but oh well, it's all good fun on Beam. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys, so thank you very much for watching. There should be plenty more of these coming out. I'm not quite sure what day they're going to have, if they're going to have a specific day or just as and when they're ready to go. I do like doing these. We've got plenty more lined up for the next few weeks, and if you have stunts from films or from TV series, then let me know in the comment section. We're not talking about like a whole car chase, we're talking about like one specific stunt. So for example, James Bond stunt where they do a barrel roll over the river. Not like the entire car chase, but it's just that barrel roll section that we may well be having a go with at some point. So yeah, let us know if you have any suggestions that you want to see us do in the comment section. However, that is it. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.